In a pre-existing challenging economy, Covid-19 has prompted increasing detrimental impacts on the fresh graduates in Malaysia. Multiple concerns arise from the issues such as inadequate starting salaries for fresh graduates, reduced employment opportunities, massive study loan payables, and deterioration of fresh graduates' mental health and motivation. This issue has been claimed as a critical problem that affects the state of macroeconomics and microeconomics in Malaysia. Thus, the issue at hand plays a central role in both branches of economic study. Next, we will narrow down this issue, highlighting on the three main economic concepts that are most relevant and relatable. Precisely, three macroeconomic concepts which are unemployment and its types, phases of business cycle, and injection. Last but not least, these economic concepts will be elaborated on, firstly, with the definition of each concept and a dive into the relation of said concept with the concerns addressed. Now, let's take a look at the first concept, unemployment and its types. Unemployment refers to the unused capacity of available labor resource. There are three types of unemployment: frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, and cyclical unemployment. In this video, we'll be highlighting cyclical unemployment as it is directly related to our issue. Cyclical unemployment is caused by an economic slowdown that leads to workers being unemployed because firms are decreasing their production. The implementation of MCO to control the outbreak has caused massive disruption to the supply side and demand side of the economy. On the supply side, the sudden operation halt of non-essential businesses disrupted the supply chain and production output, which in turn affected the demand for labor. Firms could not afford to pay wages and were forced to retrench workers and reduce or eliminate new intake of workers. The income losses of the retrenched workers and unemployed graduates reduced the consumption on the demand side. Altogether, the supply side and demand side of the economy have been affected by the movement restriction order. That is why we can say that Covid-19 increased the cyclical unemployment rate of Malaysia other than the natural unemployment, because cyclical unemployment is a form of unemployment that's linked to economic slowdown. Moving on to the next concept, business cycle. Business cycle is basically the ups and downs of a nation's production measured in the level of real gross domestic product (GDP). There are four types of a business cycle: peak, recession, trough, and the recovery. Due to the coronavirus outbreak, Malaysia's GDP contracted 5.59% in 2020 as compared to 4.3% in 2019. Malaysia's business cycle falls to recession or contraction phase where the growth of output is negative and the real GDP falls. Businesses decrease its investment to reduce the risk of losses, while consumers decrease expenditure as they have lesser income and tend to save more for future usage. This has affected the economic activities, which further contributed to the increase of the unemployment rate by 4.8% in the fourth quarter of 2020 and caused great suffers to the fresh graduates in Malaysia. Moving on to the third and last concept, injection. An injection occurs when funds are added to an economy from a source other than households and businesses. It is the variables in an economy that add to the circular flow of income, such as investment, government spending, and exports. The injection that we are talking about are being implemented to stimulate the economy through government spending during this COVID-19. For example, the government offers starting business capital for the fresh graduates and developed the Graduates Reference Hub for Employment and Training, also known as GRADE platform, which offers services such as job matching, reskilling, and upskilling programs, as well as grants for further education and career counseling. In 2020, a total of 100 million ringgit Malaysia is allocated by the government to help in increasing the marketability of graduates and contribute to the economic empowerment. Consequently, firms are able to employ more fresh graduates to increase output, hence increasing household income and buying power of fresh graduates in Malaysia. With higher income, there is a tendency to demand more goods, which could lead to economic growth for Malaysia.